Welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is our review of Game 33 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Chicago Blackhawks got a good victory, a good result, finally, a 3-2 victory over Joel Quenneville's Florida Panthers. But before we get to the review tonight, if you could do me a really big favor and hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and hit that notification bell so we have to come looking for you. You don't have to come looking for us. Uploads have been kind of sporadic lately for various reasons. So for everybody involved, please just hit that notification bell and drop a comment down below if you so choose. We would love to interact with you, whether you have thoughts on the game, something that we don't bring up, or potentially something you either agree with or disagree with, something we say on the show. And with that, I'll throw it over to my co-host who's back in the chair tonight, Chai sports fan Joe. Joe, how are you doing?
Hey, Kyle. Yeah, a nice win and a really good game tonight from the Hawks, and another great performance from Lankinen tonight. And it seemed the power play clicked, and Hagel continues to stand out. What a season he's had, and it's just nice to get back on the winning track. And even though the Panthers were without Barkov. It was good. It was a much needed 2 points for sure, after that 4-game slide.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up Hagel, and every game he just impresses more and more. I think tonight may have been, if not his best game, one of his best games. Picked up an assist, as you mentioned, or I think we're alluding to at least. Had 5 shots on goal. And as I had tweeted out earlier, and as everybody noticed, he finally got put on the power play on the first unit, too. And then also got some PK time as well. So he was all over the ice tonight. And I think, he's richly rewarded. He should have been rewarded with that um, by the coaching staff. I think it's long overdue for somebody with his work ethic. And he just seems to create chances. I was looking into it because I don't know, maybe your opinion on this. Everybody that I see always tries to kind of craft him into an Andrew Shaw type character, and I don't see that with him. He's more Brandon Saad to me than he is Andrew Shaw. And I went and I looked at Brandon Saad's rookie season. Now, I guess asterisk here, just like Hagel, Saad did have I think it was in 2011-12. He did play 2 games, kind of like Hagel played 1 last year. But in their first full season, Saad played, I believe it was 46 games and had 27 points. This was Hagel's 30th game, and he has 11 points on the season. So, going to be somewhat similar. He's a little bit below Saad's pace, but keep in mind as well, he wasn't playing in the top 6 for quite a while. And, as I kind of mentioned too in the tweet, you're talking about the loaded 2013, 2014, 2015 teams that Saad was playing on when he, really came into prominence, especially in that rookie season. So take the stats with a grain of salt, meaning Saad, even though he's on pace to be below Saad, Saad was playing with much better players, and maybe not much better players, but also more established players. Hossa, Taves, Sharp, all those guys that were still on the team. Hanzus was brought in, was it 2013? So a lot more skill and established players there. But I thought that was interesting that he's having a similar kind of pace, if you will, to what Saad did his first year. So, um, yeah, I think out of everybody next to Lankinen, I think Hagel's been the best surprise of the season. I think.
Yeah, no, like you said, I just like the way he can get down in the corners. He can win battles. He can create chances. he's a, like I said, he's just that guy that's going to just dig down deep for you and come out on top, most of the time. So, and he's a scrappy player. He's somebody that, can be a nuisance in front of the net. Um, and I just, and it's a shame he hasn't gotten rewarded, by putting the puck in the back of the net as many good chances as he's had, but he's still creating them. And that's sometimes even more important than, putting one in the back of the net is creating chances for other guys that do put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, he had a lot of chances tonight. He even had a chance on the Soderberg power play goal in the second, where the puck eluded him. He was in the vicinity in the middle of the ice there, and then Soderberg got it, or the tip in it, and it went in from Kaner. And at first, I thought Hagel might have gotten it. I couldn't tell who was there, if it was Soderberg or if it was Hagel. But again, uh, on the power play, and they produce. So that was nice to see. Hopefully, they don't end that experiment. Hopefully, they keep him there. And speaking of kind of the rookies, Khrushchev really has kind of dropped off, don't you think? Like,
Yeah, no, I've noticed that too, and it was funny because right before he tipped the puck in, and I said, "Boy, Pius Suter's kind of fallen off the map." I think he had been in a 6-game point drought coming into tonight, and I'm like, "Well, then I guess he's due." And sure enough, he tips, Zadorov's shot into the net. So
yeah, I guess Suter, I'm not too worried about because I always notice Suter doing the little things, like even on that goal, right? Like Eddie, was it when they came back? I think from the first period, they were talking about that goal at the start where what was it? Eddie said he counted the amount of feet or whatever
yeah,
that that was
I don't remember
just
what it was.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
But yeah, but the point of that was just that Suter was all over the ice and got that. I think it was Suter, right, or was it Hagel? I think it was Suter that he was talking about there. I could be mixing them up, but either way, um, it was nice getting. I'm pretty sure that was Suter, uh, and on Suter's goal, everyone's favorite arch nemesis Nikita Zadorov with a primary helper there. And I don't know why everyone hates him. I can't figure that. The only
right.
thing,
I'm kind of, I mean, again, yeah, he's gonna make some, dumb plays sometimes and
yeah,
whatever,
he had
but
a really bad turnover tonight.
right. And, but, he's still, like I said, he's that big physical defenseman that's gonna, like you said, win battles down low and, and just really, when guys are trying to rush through, he can really shut them off from getting to the net. I mean, I know it's hard when, to shut down the speedy guys, but more so when you got just that, the average player kind of coming in and trying to drive the net, he prevents that from happening. So that's why I like Zadorov, but
Well, and he's got size. They don't have size anywhere. Like
right.
everyone wants to play Bodan, and like yes, Bodan deserves to play. Kalinuk deserves to play. Both those guys are lighting it up in Rockford. I think like Bodan's got 9 points in 6 games. And I think Kalinuk's got 7 and 6 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean both of them deserve to be in the NHL right now, but again, there's no room for them. And
Right.
obviously, people are wanting to sit Zadorov in favor of Bodan, and it's like, okay, so you sit Zadorov, you take a 6'6" forward out that like is third in the league in hits, and then you're going to bring in a 5'11". I think that's what Bodan is, maybe 6 foot defenseman. So you're getting smaller. Like I don't understand the thought process there, and even so, like to me, Tahan has been the defenseman that's been terrible and like consistently bad. I mean, yes, he had what did he have? he had 2 block shots tonight. Usually he has more than that, but I, he had a horrible giveaway at the end of the game. Horrible giveaway. Could have tied the game. And I think
Murphy bailed him out. Yeah.
yeah, at the end with getting the stick on that shot or before the shot got off. But it was just like I I don't know. And this was a really interesting week from the beat writers. And I'm not I'm not fans of really any of them anymore. But honestly, I mean, I guess Powers. I do really like Powers. I just don't like it when he starts going with all the woke shit. But which I think just comes with, you know, considering who his beat partner is, it just comes with the territory. But like Ben Pope did this whole story about how the goaltending has been terrible since like February 26th. And it's like, yeah, you jackass, look at who they've been playing. And it's like, oh yeah, I put that in the article. Oh, so you put in the article that the Hawks are playing better teams, Stanley Cup contenders, 3 Stanley Cup contenders, not including last year's defending Western Conference champion Dallas, and you're surprised that they're giving up more goals? Not to mention that you've got, 2 rookies on the defense, some nights 3. Like, what?
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, yeah,
The
exactly.
goaltending's not why they're losing. I think somebody brought up the Hawks have been averaging like 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 goals a game during that stretch or something like that. You're not going to win games if you can't score more than 3 goals.
Right. And because I know they said, I think Charlie Rumley-Otis, tweeted out that Lankinen went into this game with a 3-5-1 record, 3.67 goals against average, and an 893 save percentage in his last 9 starts. But obviously tonight he turned it around and stopped 33 of 35 for a save percentage of 943. So, but yeah, I mean, again, I with the way with who Lankinen has faced in those 9 starts, has it been majority Tampa and Florida?
And Carolina and Dallas.
I'll take a 3-5-1 record with an 893 save percentage. I mean,
yeah, considering.
Yeah, all things considered, that's actually pretty decent.
Good. Yeah. And like that, the other thing is so I guess that I was going to get to with Dahan. So they just came out and flat asked him, I think it was either Dietz or Pope, well, what do you think about, potentially being drafted by Seattle? And it's like, I don't know, I don't know, maybe some people haven't noticed it, but Dahan's kind of, I don't know if he gets triggered easily or like how to describe it, if he's just, thin skinned or what. But I know, well, our podcast account was blocked because we criticized him one game. I know Sherrod, a fan of the good friend of the show, fan of the Hawks up in Toronto, made some comments and he got blocked. And it was just, like Dahan's mentioned was it the couch coaches or something along those lines of the analytics at home, or he made some smart ass remark about people that have been, commenting on his play. And then on the road trip, he did that interview. I think I mentioned to you. I don't know if you remember it, but he had a pretty testy interview. And then, now they just come flat out and ask him, he's like, well, what do you think? Everybody kind of just assumes you're going to be the guy. And he's like, yeah, well, somebody will want me. It's like, it's kind of becoming this thing where it's like, I don't think he even wants to be here anymore.
Well, I was going to say, maybe he probably knows he's on his way out, whether it's.
And he's just over everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I said tonight, like after that egregious turnover, if everybody know, like, and that's the thing why we haven't talked about Entwistle yet, but he made his NHL debut tonight. But like that was my thing with that position on the roster with Walmart. if these guys aren't a part of the future of this team, and this year's supposed to be about development, why aren't we playing the kids? Why are we so like? I'm not saying you have to take Dahan out of the lineup every single night, but why can't you rotate? They've sat Mitchell, I don't know how many times now, twice at least. Why can't you sit Dahan and then rotate a Kalanick or a Bodan in? Why can't you when you sit Mitchell, rotate Bodan or Kalanick in? Just do like a 2-man rotation with those
Do you
two.
think that's just though because they're in the playoff hunt and they
I
want,
don't maybe but
yeah,
see, that's the thing. Like, I'm sitting here, I was thinking while I was looking at these stats, and me and Joe talk about kind of what we want to talk about before we get into the show. Just to kind of go over some notes together. But like, I didn't even bring this up. And this is a thought that I had looking at the stats tonight. What are the Hawks going to do next year when Dahan is gone? Who are they going to put on the second PK unit? Because you got Keith and Murphy, right? Those are that's the top pair on the
yeah.
PK. Then you've got Dahan, and he's paired with Zadorov sometimes. Mitchell got 10 seconds tonight.
And who knows, Zadorov might be gone too. I don't, we don't know that either.
Well, if I would assume if Dahan's gone, they'll bring Zadorov back, but who knows? But um, I just I can't figure out for the life of me. And maybe they'll protect Dahan and let Zadorov walk. I would find that very interesting if they did that.
Yeah.
But I think everybody and their mother is assuming it's going to be Dahan, but for reasons, obviously, he's got a huge cap hit. But if you're not playing these kids in these positions, because you're not going to put Adam. I know he's played better defensively, but you're not putting Adam Boquist out there on the PK. So who's going to be the guy? Like, Mitchell's the only other guy on the roster other
Do you
than
take
Zadorov.
Bodan at that point for next season? Do you take Bodan or do you take Kalanick to take Dahan's place on that pairing?
Well, it's it's got to be one of them. I mean, because like I said, I can't imagine it's going to be Boquist. And again, see, that's the thing. Like, well, maybe it would be Lucas Carlson. I guess it would be Lucas Carlson, maybe. But then again, Bodan and Kalanick aren't playing. Like, the Blackhawks defense is such a clusterfuck right now. It's not even remotely. I know there's the old adage, these are good problems to have, but it's really not. It's not a good problem to have because you don't have any offense other than Kane and DeBrincat right now. And your defense is just so loaded. You got guys that should be playing in the NHL right now that are stuck in Rockford, literally point per game players on defense. That's like unheard of. Even in the AHL, that's ridiculous. So, obviously getting rid of Dahan opens a spot up, but then you're still missing one of them. And then you've got to look at all the other guys you got coming into the system. So the Hawks at some point have to make a decision. Plus,
Well, I was going to
like I said,
say at the deadline, do you think that Dahan is traded or do you think he's just kept to be exposed in the expansion draft?
well, my guess is that they keep him. Well, because I don't know. They obviously want to get rid of his cap hit. So if you're worried about Seattle not taking him, then maybe you trade him. But that's my point on the flip side. You need somebody that can ideally teach these kids to play on the PK. So again, I don't know what happened tonight. Like it seems like they're just playing. These numbers can't be right because the Panthers had 2 power plays. And in the stat sheets have Keith having 2 minutes, Murphy having 2 minutes, Zadorov had 40 seconds, Dahan had about a minute, and Mitchell had 10 seconds. So maybe that adds up correctly. But again, you're not, I wouldn't think you would want, like, this is the thing. If you lose to Han, now you're like really screwed on that second PK unit because ideally you don't want Zadorov, I don't think, out on the PK. At least I don't. And then you don't want Boquist out there either. So now you're left with Mitchell and whoever the other kid is. Well, Mitchell only played 10 minutes on the PK tonight, or 10 seconds on the PK tonight. And even Zadorov, if you're going to use Zadorov there, he ain't even getting time there. He had 38 seconds tonight. Like, you and granted,
Or does Mitchell take more of a role than on the penalty kill? If we think Duncan, if he's the next Duncan Keith,
well, ideally, probably, yeah.
so
Because Bodan is more Boquist-esque.
right.
Maybe a smoother version of Boquist. And then Kalanick is a great skater. And I don't know if I would say he's one or the other yet. Maybe he's like a tweener, where, like I said, Bodan is obviously more like Boquist and more offensive minded. And that's the other thing. Like, that all of these defensemen they've drafted aren't really like defensive defensemen. So that's another problem. Like, it'd be a lot easier to go, okay, Boquist is clearly better than X on offense, so we want him in the lineup. Mitchell is better defensively as a defensive pair than X, but we don't have that because, for one thing, this is all like they're all only like 2 seasons into their careers, and it's just getting more complicated because you got Wyatt Kaiser over at UMD who's going to be coming in soon. He looks like the next Ian Mitchell. Alex Vlasic's going to be coming in. He's a huge hulking defenseman. You've already got Regula, Isaac Phillips, who's only in Rockford because of COVID, but he's playing really well. He was a draft pick from this year. And they've got Krudel, who's 18 years old, who was a draft pick, I believe, either this year or last year. So he's really young. And they've got all these defensemen. That's the other thing. So I guess we haven't talked about it on the show, but Barstool Chief and other people that are supposed to be like respectable opinions in the space on Twitter keep wanting the Hawks to trade for defense. I've seen Ekholm, I've seen Ellis. Everyone's trying to get a defenseman from Nashville. First of all, Nashville's a division rival. So you're going to give up a king's ransom to get either one of those guys, even if it was a Forsberg. But to the point, why are you wanting to acquire another 30-year-old defenseman that, and in the case of Ellis, is on a bad deal? And in the case of Ekholm, is on an expiring deal. Like, none of this makes any sense. Like, I don't like I just wish the fan base would, like, I don't know if they just don't understand the Hawks prospect pool or what it is. Like, it's like they have no idea what's going on with the organization and depth. Like, look, Hagel kind of came out of nowhere. Kurashev, we kind of thought he could be maybe. But really, though, Kurashev probably is a top 9 player in on a good team. But like, I don't know, like, why everyone is so focused on defense. Like, defense is this team's problem. It's like, are we watching the same games? Do we understand the makeup of the organization the same? Like, I don't think I'm stupid here. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand it.
I think you're right. We do, but that's what I'm saying. I think maybe Stan Bowman has to try to maybe make some moves as far as letting some of these defensemen go to either get some draft picks so you can take some offensive guys or get some offensive guys in return for some of these defensive guys. I don't.
Well,
I would think that's what he has to do, but I don't know.
I just think they have to start playing them more. So you have to look, somebody's obviously going to be, you know, active next season with Dahan gone. But as you mentioned, maybe you just let Zadorov go too, and you just say, you know what, we're going to roll with it. You know, Boquist is going to be a third-year pro at that point. He should be able to take more responsibility. Mitchell's going to be a second-year pro. He had Dahan with him for a while, and we're just going to roll with it. We're going to throw him
Because
into the.
if for say, come 3 weeks from now, April 12th, Stan Bowman's, I mean, obviously you have to look at where you're going to get the most value. And I think at least in my eyes, the three players that are going to get you the most value. But again, the Hawks are in the playoff hunt. So not to say that any of these guys might not get dealt, but like you said, Dahan, Zadorov, and Yanmark are going to probably get you the most value. Are they going to get you first round picks? Probably not. But can they get you maybe second or third rounders? Absolutely. But I don't know what you can get, like I said, for a player now to get in return. That remains to be seen. But I would say the Hawks can get a lot of value for those three players at this point. Not to say more so with Zadorov and Yanmark than Dahan, but
Well, I don't even know. I don't know how the rest of the league views Zadorov. I think the Hawks are maybe one of the few teams that, for some reason, view him as a top four. He isn't.
no,
I
right.
like him, but he's not a top four. But he does he adds something that they need, and to me, it's so hard because you don't want to lose his size, but at the other point, the AHL isn't the NHL. It's not. So if we're not playing Bodan and we're not playing Kalynuk regularly, we don't really know what they are. And you don't want to get rid of them and then have one of them turn out to be a stud. So this is like the conundrum you're in. You make a spot from one of them automatically next year, presumably, with Seattle at least taking one of them. But then on
Because
the other
like I
hand,
guess it's like where does Stan Bowman want to be? Like next year, do you want to be a contender, or do you want to keep it for another year and then like maybe assume in 2023 where the window kind of starts to open again? But I don't know.
well, I said I expected them to be at the beginning of this year. I said I expected them to be 2 years away, this year and next year.
Mhm.
And you want to be worse next year because the draft is loaded. So if you can get, a higher in the draft next year, that'll be great. And maybe that'll happen if they realign the divisions back the way they were. But
Oh, I think they will. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So
So, there are so many positives to take away from this team. I wouldn't be opposed to getting rid of both Zadorov and Dahan if we get value back. That's the thing. You have to, well, you're going to lose one of them for nothing in the expansion draft. But if you get rid of the other, that has to be for value. And you're opening. That's the thing. By doing that, you're opening up. I don't know, $7-8 million in cap space. So you can.
on top of what what you're going to have from LTIRs next year, probably I would imagine with Shaw and with Seabrook.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not opposed to getting rid of both of them, because it opens up those two spots and you get the cap space, and then you can weaponize that cap space. I wouldn't sign anybody. I'm gonna make that clear. I would not go out and sign anybody. Um, Other than maybe keep Yanmark if we don't trade him. And look, he's not going to cost that much, but at least not much more than he's making now. You're still going to have a shit ton of cap space if you move those two players. or lose one and move the other. But you open those two spots up on the defense, and then I'm really getting the feeling they're going to bring over Lucas Reichel, who was their first round pick this year. And the other thing you have to keep in mind too.
Do you think he plays like in up at the pro level next year, or
But
does he
yeah,
play this
if they
season
sign
Rockford?
him, he's playing in the NHL. Like
Okay.
I don't. Otherwise, they'd leave him in Europe. Like I don't think they'd bring him over.
Well, I thought though what like Bowman likes to do is like, especially these guys that are in Europe, he likes to bring them over and at least put them in Rockford to either start the year just so they can get used to the North American ice, or because I know in Europe they're on the bigger surfaces versus here it's smaller. I don't
Y-
know if that's true or
Yeah.
not, but
Well, something they may do there is like what they did with Josiah Slavin, who they just signed. Slightly surprised that they did that, but he's got a contract for next season, but he signed an amateur tryout with Rockford, so he can play in Rockford now. So when Reichel's deal is up this season, potentially maybe he does that where he signs an ATO with Rockford, so he can come over this season and play down there, and then maybe they sign him for next season. But because that's the other thing that in all of this, the Hawks have like 48 contracts and you have a 50 limit max. So if they do stuff at the trade deadline, they don't want to screw that up. So if they're signing anybody right now, their contracts won't start till next season. So they could do something like, they give him his ELC where it starts next season, and then he does an ATO where he can play in Rockford. But Rockford doesn't have that many games left either, I don't think, because they're not playing a full season either. And I think they're playing even a shorter schedule than the NHL is, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, but I don't know. But like that's the other thing is you've still got Nylander too. So if you bring Reichel over and you've got Nylander, you know, Soderberg probably leaves, maybe retires or he goes to Europe to play, which is what he was going to do this year. Um, and then you've got I guess Entwistle's spot opens up. So then you get, spots for Nylander and Reichel. And then if they keep Janmark. And then just roll with that and trade, if you can take on an $8 million, $7 million contract, that's worth a first round pick. And if you get assets back too for either Dahan or Zadorov that you trade, whichever one that is, you get assets there. Maybe even you trade Yanmark this year just to get assets. I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, I'd hate to see that happen, but it's like you said, if you can get some nice value in return for him, I mean, at this point, it's like, yeah, I mean, we as Hawks fans, of course, we want to see them in the playoffs, but we're looking at pretty much what if they do get into the playoffs, which at this point it does seem more likely than it does not. They're going to run into the buzzsaw that is either the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Florida Panthers in the first round, and you know, again, if we win one game, yeah, I think we'll be pretty lucky. But
Yeah.
so at that point, I mean, you're probably better off, trading Janmark than you are keeping him, unless you feel like you can sign him to a nice friendly contract. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And like that's the other thing too with him. Like at some point you're gonna want Khrushchev and Hagel to take up bigger roles. Plus, if they're going to keep Kubalik, then they've gotta, have money for that. And on top of it, like I said, you've got Reichel and Nylander. And Nylander's kind of in a make it or break it kind of spot coming up. Uh, I assume they'll probably give him a 2-year contract because his deal is up at the end of the season. Um, but they're not going to quit on him. There's too much potential there. So, you know, you want to give Nylander a shot. You want to give Hagel continually a shot. If Reichel comes over, you need forward spots for those players to play too. So, like that, honestly, if it's up to me, like, I think that's what I'm doing. Next year, everything we've got this year has been gravy. We've seen the development. We've seen prospects that are more than ready to play. And you got to continue, I think. And that's what I think they've said they're doing. They're looking more big picture. And I think, assuming Doc continues to develop, and then you bring the German kid Reichel over, and you've got, everybody else continuing to develop, I'd just go with that. I mean, and again, I like Sidorov, but
Because with the cap space that you think they'll have both in the off season and during the season, do they bring in, like you said, like we've been talking about, a Taylor Hall or a Mike Hoffman or somebody like that?
no, no, I
No.
don't think so. I think, like, if you open up that cap space, what I think you do is you're trading for a first round pick. You're taking on someone's bad money, like Vancouver with Louis Erickson. I think they can. I think Vancouver can still make it work, but it would behoove them to still get rid of Louis Erickson, who's got like a $6 million contract and 1 year left. And obviously, teams prefer not to have to buy out contracts. The problem that they have is that they've got to sign Demko, Hughes, Pedersen, and all these guys. All their stars are up for new deals, and I think they've got 23, 24 million, something like that. And they're still getting hit with that Luongo recapture penalty because he retired. So they kind of need to get Erickson off their books. So if you go to Vancouver, and look, Vancouver's not exactly playing the greatest anyway. So if you go to Vancouver and you're like, well, if you feel like you're with your current core able to bounce back and you just had a rough year or something this year, we'll take your first round pick and take Erickson off your hands. And then you can re-sign all these young kids that you want to keep, for your future because you think you're close. And we'll take your first round pick. Now, obviously, if you're Bowman, you're looking at what Vancouver's doing this year and you're going, hey, if they do this again, next year, that's another potential top 15 pick, maybe even higher, depending on, the NHL announced a lot of new lottery rules and shit today, which we can get into later. But I think that's what they do. I think I don't think you're going out and, because that's the problem with going out and bringing in a Mike Hoffman or a Taylor Hall is, I mean, what is Taylor Hall? Like, do you want Taylor Hall for 1 year when you're not even really going to compete? Probably.
Well, no, I just didn't know if you sign him to, like I said, a 3 year.
Yeah, but that's just it. Like, so after next season, they have to re-sign Doc and they have to re-sign Kubalik, Strome, and Boquist. All those guys are up. I don't know. Who knows what Doc will do next
And I
year?
think the whole Taves thing, I guess, is still kind of in limbo right now too. We don't know is he going to come back?
Well, I mean, yeah, that throws a monkey wrench into the what you might be drafting, because let's face it, you and I have been talking about them needing a goal scoring winger. Well, if Taves is done, like done, then now we need a new top center.
Right.
Doc's not enough. If Doc might become a number one center, but he probably isn't right now. He's probably a number two center.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so you still need it, and you want two top centers. So you need to go get another top center, and that changes everything if Taves is done. And look, they know what's going on with there. They can keep. We've talked about this. They can keep pretending they don't know. Everybody knows they know. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
And I will say this about it, And everyone keeps, I think just because it's, the beat writers and everyone wants to play nice and respect his privacy and everything. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But it is very, very weird that he doesn't show up to any of this stuff. Like somebody mentioned to me, like, why wasn't he there tonight for Kane's ceremony? I know it was, not the thing that they're going to have next season, but he wasn't there. He hasn't been to any of the games, any of the practices. He wasn't there for Seabrook's thing. He did do the video for Kane, but still, it's like there's got to be a reason he's staying out of out of the public eye. And if there isn't, and this is all depression, which is what I've speculated, then I do think they should strip him of the seat. I do. And I know that's going to be controversial, but that's like quitting on the team. And they need him this year. Like, he would be huge to this team right now. And if he's just not playing because he doesn't feel good, I'm sorry, but a lot of people have depression issues and still go to work every day. So it's either that, which I don't like. I kind of feel like it might be that, but I don't want to. It's like I don't want to believe it's that because I have too much respect for him, kind of thing. And if it's not that, then it's bad, right? It's something that's bad. Like, and I even mentioned to you, I think, on the show that he looked like he'd lost weight on the video he recorded for Kane. And that's what somebody said. What do you think? He's had chemo, or, is he, and that may be, and that would make sense. If he's going through chemo treatments or something, that's a reason not to want to be in public. But also, wouldn't that have been leaked? Like,
right.
Somebody would have seen him go into the hospital to get chemo or to the doctor. Like that's the other thing that's so weird about all this is that it hasn't leaked. Like nobody's seen him at the hospital or the doctors or anything. So maybe he's back home in Winnipeg and that's how he's avoiding it. I don't know. It certainly can't be in Chicago because I feel like it would have leaked by now. But that, like, the thing with him's a whole other thing that I assume we'll deal with when we get to the off season, whether he's done or, he's going to come back or whatever. But I don't know, like, because that completely changes the outlook of what you need to do as an organization. I mean, if he's gone or done, I guess I should say, then yeah, they might as well sell even this year. Like, just sell because you got to get assets to replace him. And without him, you're not a contender, even with what they have.
Right.
So
yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, I hope he's all right, and I hope it's just whatever the case may be, and he'll be back next season. But like I said, I'm sure we'll find out more. I'm sure that'll be the big topic of discussion, probably the second
the season's
strike
over.
0 on our season. So
Yeah,
but
yeah. Let's talk about Entwistle. Go out a more positive thing. I thought he played well tonight in the entire 6 minutes that he got. 2 shots on goal and 3 hits in those 6 minutes. It's pretty good. I do think they need to get him a new jersey number, especially if he's going to stick around. But what do you think? Would you keep him in the lineup?
yeah, no, I like the way he played, and I mean, like I said, in the 6 minutes he didn't play that much, but I still like his game, and
I mean, he had
I'd
a
like to see more of him. So
couple scoring chances and one right off the bat in the first period.
yeah, I'd say he was more of like kind of quiet, the quiet good kind of, I guess you can say. Didn't stand out, but didn't like didn't jump off the page, but didn't do anything that was overly bad either. So, but
Speaking of positive stories, Dylan Strome. I wasn't on the score sheet tonight, but could have been.
Yeah, had a couple really good chances, but
Yeah, and you can tell like that he was injured or that he was concussed just from the difference in play because like we had that, and I think he even mentioned like before he went out, wasn't feeling like himself, and he was like we had mentioned like what the hell's going on with Strome? Like he's started the season so well, and like now he's become a zombie or something out there. Well, he got healthy, and now we're seeing positive results. So I hope he continues. Again, it's only 2 games and a small sample size, but hopefully that continues going forward for him. Um, Kubalik scored tonight. He's got points in 6 games, I think. I think Brandon Hagel is a big part of that. That's not just me bashing Kubalik, but rather praising Hagel for what he's been doing for the team.
I was going to say, speaking of positives, everybody that all the Kubalik people are probably coming after you now because he's got a 6-game point streak. So
Oh well, I mean we have the one guy who I think you follow. I don't know if you know him.
no, I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know him personally, but
Oh, do you know who I'm talking about?
yeah.
The guy that trying to get the FBI to investigate us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. Well, it's like every time Kubalik does something, I know he
Yeah,
comments.
he tweets at us every time. Every time.
but yeah, no, because I know you refer to him as the second coming of Jesus, but
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
so,
I do that as like look, I try to have fun with everything, right? So, I put that on there last year, and I just thought it was, because everyone's like, oh, he's like, he's awesome, he's this, he's that. I'm like, he's a streaky scorer that can't play in his own end. I mean, yeah. But whatever. Like, I'm glad he's scoring or doing well. I think Hagel is a huge part of that. I think a lot of the goals he's had has been set up by great plays by Hagel, including tonight. But yeah, I mean, that's why I say, like, I think Doc with him and Hagel would be a good line just because I think that line could do more without David Camps. Oh, I can't even remember now. It's blurring together whether we talked about it on the show or not, but David Camp needs to get off the top 6. And it's like, I have no problem with David Camp. I love him as a bottom 6 player, as a defensive PK specialist. But good God, get him off the top 6. He should not be in the top 6. And humorously, because I know a lot of people like, well, maybe they want him there for a face-off or whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, he was 41% tonight. And I think he was, ever since he's been moved up to the top 6, he's been getting his ass beat at the face-off circle pretty much by these top 6 centers. So, yeah, no. It's easy for him to beat up, the bottom 6 centers, but not so much the top 6. So he's not even doing that. I mean, maybe you can argue he's a little bit more defensive minded, but yeah, I don't. Whether he's with Kane and DeBrincat or Kubalik and Hagel, I don't like it. So hopefully, going into the weekend, as we were speculating, when Kirby Doc returns, hopefully this weekend, that will change. And when do you think? I know we kind of touched on it before we jumped on tonight, but when do you think Doc's gonna get in there? I know he's fully participating in practice now. Like that was confirmed with video the other day. So
yeah, I didn't know. Like, I would say if he's ready to go. I mean, I guess I'm kind of surprised none of the reporters asked that question to Colleton tonight when they think Doc would be ready to go. But yeah, like I know we had talked about, you want to maybe get him in, against the team that's not really, gonna be bump them and bruise them too much to start. But um, yeah, I mean, if it's likely and you can play him this weekend in the back to back against Nashville, but I don't know if you want to necessarily start him in a back to back situation, or if you maybe he comes back Thursday, or if they wait until next week. But I mean, I don't know. My guess is, kind of knowing how the Hawks are, I would say he'll be back probably next week after the back to back, but maybe they'll surprise us and put him in there starting Saturday. I don't know.
Well, hopefully it's soon, because I think that'll be a shot in the arm to everybody. I think not just the fans, but the team. And I think obviously it adds more depth, which obviously they've been horrifically lacking pretty much all season. Um, so yeah, and just to throw it out there to everybody that's listening, that's a fan, don't get upset if when he comes back he struggles a little bit. So he is coming off a wrist injury, and as a center, that's the other thing. Maybe they don't play him at center when he comes back. Maybe they put him at wing to kind of ease him back into taking faceoffs and stuff. Because when you're playing the big boy teams that have those big centers, you might not want them going in around his wrists and stuff.
Or can he go do like a conditioning a stint in Rockford, or no?
I would imagine he could, yeah,
So
because he's
I
been
mean,
injured, right? So you would think so.
I maybe do they start him in Rockford for a couple games before they bring him back up to get kind of his feel and his timing a little bit down a little bit before that happens.
Yeah, well, potentially, and they'll also have to send somebody down too. Um, when they do that, let me pull up. I don't. They keep moving their taxi squad around with when they're home and when they're on the road. So Kalinuk's on the taxi squad. Carlson, Bodan, Bowie, Johnson. Well, yeah, Johnson would get the boot, or Johnson or Entwistle. One of them would be sent down, I'd imagine. Where was Highmore just a scratch? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, either Johnson or when Doc is back. So
but I would
not too
imagine,
much
yeah,
there.
that would probably be a more realistic. I would say is if they start him on maybe like maybe a game or two with the Ice Hogs as kind of a conditioning stint to get him back and into the feel of a game situation before throwing him, right into the fire up here.
Yeah, and then I'll be really curious. Uh, I think they so maybe I don't know if they practice tomorrow. Um, but it'll be interesting to see if they do, if we'll see line rushes, because I don't think they were doing line rushes Monday when they were posting the video of him in full practice. So, if we'll get an idea of where he's going to play when we see him in line rushes at practice, which again, I would assume would be the next practice, whether that's tomorrow or Friday, I guess. But I would think maybe you would even do that back to back, though. I mean, I don't know, managing practice times, right? So you're off tomorrow, then you got Thursday, then you're off Friday, and then you got Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know. I'm glad I'm not Colleton with regards to that, because you don't want to wear the team out.
Right.
So I don't know if you reward them tonight with no practice tomorrow, but then you've got a game, practice, game. They got to have practice tomorrow, I would think.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have practice, it's got to be tomorrow, and then Friday's the off day between Thursday and Saturday. Yeah. So hopefully tomorrow they do line rushes, and we'll see where Doc is at. I know we speculated uh, they'll go back to the bubble line of him and Kane and DeBrincat. Um, I just wonder if maybe they'll bump Camps down and put him with Kubalik and Hagel to start, just to one ease him in, and you know, I, you want to have that chemistry because if I don't know, do you like Camps, Hagel, and Kubalik more than Suter, Kane, and DeBrincat?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Like that's the
I
question.
like Doc centering, yeah, like we talked about Kane and DeBrincat, but I think maybe to start Doc off when he does start to come back, you ease him maybe into taking, Taves' top center spot for right now, and start him just on the second pairing. But um
Yeah, well,
I
he's going to be in one of those spots.
yeah,
You would think.
right, right. So I would say keep him on the second line versus the top line just to start.
Yeah, and then maybe after a week or so, maybe you move him up, depending on his play.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, uh, let's see here. What am I looking at? Mhm. So the PK gave up another goal. That was a problem. 50% again tonight. Not good.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
talk about a 180, but that our
yeah,
PK
they're
is,
like worst in the league right now.
yeah. So
One of the worst in the league, anyway. And that goes back to what we were talking about. Like, even changing that up, like, I are you just wearing out Keith and Murphy, playing them 2 minutes, out of four? And I mean, I guess they should be able to, but I don't know. Like they've got to do something where they get these other guys PK time. Can't just have basically three guys playing on the PK.
right, right.
But yeah, we'll see. Obviously, they got the power play goal, so that was nice. 1 out of 3. Um, do you think they leave Hagel there?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they should definitely either keep them, get them time on both units. I like them on the power play. I like them on, uh, the penalty kill too, especially. So I mean, but I think I don't know. Overall, I'd like him on to maybe get some time on both, especially because, like I said, he could win. He could win battles to be able to get the puck out of the zone when we're killing, and he can set up plays when we're trying to score on a power play. So I mean, I'll see what we'll see what Colleton and his crew decide to do with that.
Yeah, just one more thing with him. So he played only 13-20 tonight, and it seemed like he played a lot more of the game, which is a good thing, obviously. But I'd like to see his ice time increased. I know we looked at his last 5 games before coming on. He averages about, I'd say, 14 and a half to 15 minutes the last 5 at least before tonight. And I'd kind of like to see him up around there, maybe even around the 6. So Suter got 16 minutes tonight. Does Kane really need to play 24 minutes? Does DeBrincat need to play 22? I mean, I don't know. It just seems like you could get those guys a little bit more time. And like, look, I like Ryan Carpenter, but do you like him more than Brandon Hagel? I mean, Carpenter got almost 15 minutes tonight. Strome too got 14 minutes. Would probably like to see his ice time up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Camp, almost 16 and a half minutes, like, or over 16 and a half minutes. Like, why? Like, again, a minute 38 of that's on the PK, which is what he's good for. But I don't know. I just feel like you're taking away from your offense by putting him in the top 6. I just don't understand that. Kurashev, like we said, has been struggling. Only get 10 minutes. Did get 2 minutes on the power play, though. But yeah. Yeah, so I think that'll kind of wrap everything up. I mean, we briefly talked about Lankinen.
No, I
Again,
had a really good game. So
yeah, gave up the 1 goal at even strength, which you love to see. Obviously, they scored 1 on the power play, finished with 33 saves and 35 shots, 943 save percentage. Do you think he starts Thursday?
oh yeah, I think we definitely got to ride Lankinen right now, and he's your best goalie, and then sure for the back-to-back against Nashville,
You get
I would
Subban,
imagine, yeah, Subban will get one of those games. So, but yeah, I think for Thursday we go with Lankinen again.
Yeah, and I think you already said you'll leave Entwistle in.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I like this lineup, and I like having Entwistle in there. I don't know, even if it's, God, I'm gonna butcher this name, but that Andre Altbermakian, I think's his name, something like that. I'd even like to see him get a game, maybe eventually, see what he can do. Or there's a lot of guys down there: Soderlund, Barrett, Andre, as I just mentioned. We'll just call him Andre. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, first victory of the season against Florida. It's hard to believe. Was this game 5 between us?
I
I
think so.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're 1-4 or 3-1, I guess. Um, God, just the just Florida and Tampa,
Yeah.
man. If we
Yeah.
had better records against them.
Yeah. I think we'd be sitting real pretty. So.
Yeah,
But
but that'll do it for this review. Again, the Hawks hung on tonight, picked up was it their 15th victory of the season with a 3-2 win over the Florida Panthers. Game 34 will be this Thursday at the UC. I assume it's the same time. Is it at 7 o'clock?
yeah, I think so. 7. Is it 7 or is it might be 7:30 or
That's at
uh,
7.
yeah, 7. Okay.
Yep. And we will be with you guys with the review of that game Friday morning. Hopefully, Friday morning. I don't hold me to that, but that's what we're shooting for. Uh, Obviously, you'll be listening to this Wednesday morning, and hopefully by Wednesday afternoon, like I said, we'll know kind of where more about where Kirby Doc is, whether we'll see him this weekend potentially or not. But until next time, everybody, stay safe, wear your masks. I know COVID, especially in the city, has been ticking up slightly here with spring break and everybody kind of being out and about. So definitely still stay vigilant there. Get your vaccine if you are eligible. I know some centers, like even I know here in Rock Island County, I know anybody that was over, I believe, 65 could get one at one of the test sites or the vaccination sites, rather. Um, but yeah, if you can get a shot, get it over with. You're gonna have to have it most likely anyway to travel and do anything coming up here. So just get it done, get it out of the way, so we can get back to normal. And again,
get back in the arenas.
Yeah,
So
we want to start getting back and watching the games live, not sitting on the couch all the time. And not just that too, but being able to go out to a restaurant and being able to go out to a concert or go out to the movie theater or do whatever, and not have to wear a damn mask. So
right. So
just
but yeah, no, we appreciate all you listeners out there, and without you guys, like I said, this show wouldn't be worth doing. So we appreciate all of your advice, and whenever you do comment or subscribe, it means a lot to us. So we appreciate it, and let's just keep this thing going, keep the positive vibes going, and hopefully we could get another postseason of Blackhawks hockey.
yeah, that would be definitely exciting. Maybe maybe we can get a Cinderella story out of it to reward everybody that's done our part with this pandemic. Um, but with that, again, we will see you Friday morning with a review of Thursday's game. And until then, everybody, let's go Hawks.
All right, thanks again, everybody. Go Hawks.